Hello and welcome to the final session of our Brindlewood Bay Numberless Secrets, Hearts of Wulin whole thing. It's a whole deal. And this is a detective story by way of wuxia, which we have done one full mystery of, and we are now finishing off the second mystery for this. This says to me that at some point down the road, we will have to do, like in the next year, a second season of this when everybody is feeling up to it. I think it definitely merits that. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and I am the developer designer for Hearts of Wulin. And I also love the series that we've stolen so much from, which is Ancient Detective, which is a great series that you should check out if you have the opportunity. We are using a variety of safety tools, lines and veils, as well as the X card, and so on. So please take a moment to, when you have a chance, to take a look at those. I've got my eye on them. If we do start to move towards something that hits in that and we haven't quite noticed it, be sure to call us out on that. So I'm going to have our players introduce their characters. And from there, we'll work on to kind of the next stages of getting everyone reoriented. The reason I say reoriented, and this time correctly, is that this session that we're recording takes place a few weeks after the previous session. So if you're watching this sequence, you may notice a slight gap here on the timeline. But let us begin with our member of the Mengsi Society, our eccentric detective, solver of the raccoon mystery. Let us hear Tyler tell us who Bao Shi is.
Hi there, I'm Tyler, he, him pronouns, and I am playing Bao Shi, also he, him pronouns, and he is the eccentric expert coming off the Bravo playbook, and he is the greatest detective. Those are, if you didn't notice, in capital letters, the greatest detective. He is a bit of a busybody. He looks into people's personal lives. He has an innate sense of who should be together. He is also a far thinker who likes to set traps for his enemies and catch them off guard. He is never failing in his intuition, except when his friends are involved, in which case he has many, many gaps.
Yes, at that point, all bets are really off when it comes to Bao Shi. And I think you took House of Traps last time. That was your big advance at the end of the session.
Excellent. It was.
That brings us to our master historian, a beloved agent of the Bureau of Legends, Song Da.
Hi, I'm Patrick, he, him pronouns, and I'm playing Song Da, also he, him, who is the Aware Playbook, a historian of the Bureau of Legends. He travels and tries to witness and document the events and goings-on and the ever-evolving relationships of the Wulin world, of the martial world. Let's see, we're here in the city. We have Sister Lucian, who has been in and out, also assigned to this tournament. I know that I ended in a sort of precarious situation that all of Iron Lotus's premeditated and carefully orchestrated cruelties left me no choice but to run away into the welcoming and kind embrace of an NPC whose name I don't remember, but was definitely handsome and very trustworthy, and he's going to take care of me. He's my new party now, so well, yeah, that's where I am.
It's excellent. And I see you took Smiling Proud Wanderer.
Yeah, I had taken another move that didn't quite work the way I thought it did before, and this seemed like a good one to bring in, just a study question if I need it for each city.
Absolutely. And then next, we have the two faces of Blue Mountain Scholar and Lost Song Janai.
That it is somewhat incorrect to call them the two faces. Essentially, I am playing Lost Song Janai, who is currently, so to say, placeholding for her great uncle, Blue Mountain Scholar, who is a well-known, famous, venerable consulting scholar and agent of the Blue Mountain sect. He has gotten smaller and thinner as he's gotten older, and it's not that difficult for his grandniece to take his place, at least stature-wise. She's clever with the disguises and wears a cloak that covers most of his head and face. So it's not that difficult to do, as long as no one is paying attention. And she tries very hard to make sure they don't pay too much attention by being somewhat unpleasant all the time that she's being her great uncle. Who she, by the way, adores and loves and doesn't think of as being a horrible person. But he does have certain off-putting habits that he cultivates so that people don't hang on him. So she understands that. And let's see here. I think she has learned his style, which is not a style specifically of the Blue Mountain sect, but more of a set of scholarly styles. It is called the Truth-Seeking Blade, and it's an earth style. And let's see here. I think that Wasam Janai is very disappointed because she had been attempting to assist Songda in his courting of Iron Lotus and was dismayed to see Songda's confused reaction to Iron Lotus's attempt to keep him alive in the midst of a great, huge group of assassins, powerful assassins coming after him. The reasoning jumped to was, I think Lost Sam Jedi is still trying to work through that. So there you go. And then in general, Lost Sam Jedi trusts Bao Shi above all others and would like to keep them safe from the treachery of their teacher, many gifted Sao Wu. And right now, we're in the middle of all kinds of goings on. So that's it.
Absolutely. I noticed that you're out of bonds.
Yeah, these things happen.
Just noticing, just noting for my own purposes. Just want to keep that in mind for myself there. Which brings us to the two faces of Iron Lotus, Golden Peony.
Yeah, so my name is Jamie. I use they, he pronouns, and I'm also playing Iron Lotus, who also uses they, he pronouns. So Iron Lotus is in masculine guise because in reality, they are Golden Peony. They are twins, and Iron Lotus has gone missing while trying to investigate this conspiracy that's going on that's most dangerous. We found out recently that both of the twins lost their mother to this conspiracy as well. So truly things are dangerous. So Iron Lotus, to protect what's left of their family and do their best, has to put on a disguise and cannot tell those who matter most who they really are. So so that's going on. Not angsty at all. And they're part of the Broken Circle faction, other people who were also victims of the conspiracy who are trying to figure out what's going on. Their style is 8 petals across the water. And yeah, when last we saw them, things went really badly for Iron Lotus, who is trying their best to protect Songda and bring out the warrior that he sees in him, and so we'll just see what happens. But yeah, So that's Iron Lotus, whose heart is currently breaking, but he'll never show it. Instead, he'll focus on supporting the great detective Bao Shi in making sure this mystery comes to a close.
So our cast of characters, so that we know, if this is the beginning of an Agatha Christie novel, it'd be the list of names with the short descriptor, or we would have the long flashbacks of people at the start of the episode to remind you, this is at a tournament. The tournament is being hosted by Chief Ouyang, and he suffered some humiliation last year as a result of the tournament. And that was primarily at the hands of our murder victim, Yang Mofeng, who I'll say more about as we go along. The other figure that has strongly interacted with Chief Ouyang is Gao Botong. Gao Botong being our masked chi master, who is devilishly handsome, smoking hot, as it were, who grabbed up Song Da last time. But Gao Botong showed up at the tournament this year with the purpose of revenge and kind of embarrassed Chief Ouyang in the course of all of this. Moving along, we have Skycast Red, who was a participant in the tournament last year and who lost. He is ill-tempered, high-strung, but it has been determined that, in fact, Mofeng, our victim, killed his fiancée in the tournament last year. So he has a reason to want Mofeng dead as well. However, another participant in the tournament who was humiliated last year in the fight is Guardian Fu, who was also kind of a well-placed person who was expected to win. But there are rumors that, in fact, she and Skycast Red had been having an affair previous to this death. And so there's a certain amount of guilt to go around. Other people who participate in the tournament this year or participated last year. First, we have Undaunted Zedong, our drunken master, who was in our previous mystery, who has shown up, who has said some enigmatic things to Blue Mountain Scholar. We have Chen Rogong. She possesses a blade of unusual form that apparently is tied to another tournament participant, and in the fact that she killed that tournament participant's brother. But she said some things about these puzzle swords and what their ultimate meaning are. What her role is in this. She wasn't here last year for the tournament, but she is here this year. Next, we have the very heavy stepping Rising Phoenix, who is enamored of the ever-absent Golden Peony. She is the person who is currently suspected of having murdered Mofeng and is the person that is currently under arrest by our local magistrate. But who you believe that Rising Phoenix, in fact, was framed. But she remains a suspect because we can't eliminate anyone at this point. Related to that, we have Ninth Raven, who is an old friend of Iron Lotus, who has seen something strange about his friend, and to follow up on that, contacted a Blue Mountain Scholar to look into the matter. And Blue Mountain Scholar did confirm that there is something odd about Iron Lotus. Ninth Raven is also a participant in the tournament. Then we have the Emerald Sky Saint. She is another one with a reason to kill Yang Mofeng, in that she has been exiled from her house because she was taken in by Yang Mofeng's wiles last year and gave up some secrets of her house to him. She is clearly here for revenge as well. Next, the person that is another handsome devil is the butterfly keeper Songbird Yun, who is the one who wishes Chang Rogang dead. And Songbird Yun was present last year at the tournament. There's some suspicion that he colluded with Yang Mofeng in some things last year, and definitely colluded with Yang Mofeng this year, asking Yang Mofeng to kill Chang Rogang with the intent of getting that blade away from her. So there's a whole complex web there. We have a couple of other people who are on the table who are present who may or may not be suspects. We have First Orchid, who is an observer who seems to be here with Chang Rogang. She is claimed to be a detective, but you suspect she is in fact a thief. But she is here with Chang. Then we have Sister Lu Shan, who cannot be up to any no good. She is an upright person, and she certainly does know things, though she has been a little evasive on some topics related to Cold Panther, who is the person that Guo Botong is here to avenge. So there's some weirdness there. And then there was this strange, handsome young man who popped up last time while Blue Mountain Scholar was attempting to follow Undaunted Zedong. Go on, Sherry.
You have that backwards. I started following the young man.
Oh, that's right.
And then when I rolled horribly, as I always do, and got lost, then Undaunted Zedong.
Yes. Now, that gives us some perspective on the NPCs. We have a few others that are in play, our sort of returning NPCs from our collection, Guard Captain Lin and Magistrate Delan. We've also seen Blue Mountain Sentinel on screen. He was chagrined last time because he was trying to extend hospitality to Songda, and then Songda was attacked. We also saw the Bureau of Legends clan leader briefly a couple of sessions ago. So those are some figures that are also on the table. But the last person who is a potential murder suspect is King of Pearls, who appeared in the very first mystery, who offended some people. By people, I mean Songda, who has apparently fallen on hard times, but is trying to use this tournament as a way to rebalance his fortunes, and perhaps has fallen in with the wrong crowd as he's tried to make sure that the tournament goes as he would want it to. He is the person who hired these 4 assassins that attacked the group last time. But you also are pretty certain that somebody put him up to that he was a middleman in this operation. So those are our NPCs. Last time, there was some investigation. There was some interaction with NPCs, finding out more things, hearts being broken, people being pushed into other people's paths, some following of people, a lot of a general picking up of things. But that led to Songda heading off to go and call on our Blue Mountain Sentinel to spend time there. We talked with him. And then Bao Shi, Lost Song Janai, eventually Iron Lotus, seeing that there were a group of assassins clearly headed to that place, likely to kill Songda. The group intercepted, and Iron Lotus revealed their clever stratagem to protect Songda, which was to have a host of assistants dressed like Songda, And of course, Iron Lotus was also disguised as Song Da at that moment. Things got complicated. There were misunderstandings. Weirdly, Guo Botong watched all of this, didn't interfere, but Song Da felt that this disguise, this thing may have been some kind of commentary, some kind of attempt to drive him to take some kind of action. And he blew up at Iron Lotus and then ran off into the arms of Guo Botong, and they lightnessed away into the night. Have I summed up the events reasonably? Are there any key issues that have been left out of that summary?
I beat up a lot of people.
That you did. You kicked ass. Let us not forget that you kicked ass with a scroll case and a whole bunch of stuff. So those are the facts as are in evidence. Let's talk briefly about the murder. We know that Yang Mofeng was killed. We know that this was done sort of in his chambers there. We know that evidence was planted to try and frame Rising Phoenix. Those are some general facts, but let me walk through the clues that we have to remind everybody of where that is at. So when you investigated, you found colored dust / powder on the clothing of the victim. Certain associations have been made between that and the dust that is on the butterflies. Number two, earlier on in that day, Yang Mofeng was burning a book of martial training, an unusual thing to do. Those books are valuable. But we've also learned that he's stolen people's secrets before. So there's some connection there. There was a discussion overheard. I believe Rising Phoenix described this. Or I was either Rising Phoenix or Ninth Raven, but described an argument between two people.
Oh, the intimate one? That's
yes,
my
about
favorite.
Mofeng, that went from sort of heated argument to the sounds of kissing, and it's sort of a turning from an argument to a more close embrace. In Mofeng's chambers, there was a scroll with pictures, some sort of clue, some kind of painting, and a section was cut out from that scroll, the middle part, so you're unable to tell what was pictured there. Number 5, there are marks of a metal chi imbalance on Mofeng's hand. Those black veins there, not very far. Either he had just started practicing it or he hadn't used it much or whatever. But not unlike the kind of chi imbalance that we've seen Guo Botong has. A wig was found outside Rising Phoenix's quarters. After someone took her hairpin, this is the attempt to frame her for the situation, which your magistrate has, Delan has grabbed onto as concrete evidence. Another thing happened, that someone dressed as a servant died the same time as this death occurred with Mofeng, a cook. On the finger of one of their hands, they had some colored powder, and whatever that was, that or whatever substance they imbibed seems to have killed them, but also disoriented them. This came out of the fight from last time. Hired assassins, money is involved. We know that there's a connection to gambling and betting from this year and last year. So there is money at stake. And then the ones that attacked you, the Fiery Devils, they were present at the tournament last year. They tried to get in under assumed names, but were found out. So they've been present and connected to this situation in the past. Now, there's still room for more clues if you wish to uncover more clues to add on, but those are the ones that are key kind of in place right now. Is there anything important to the thinking about the mystery? And we're not going to go to the theorize yet, but that any other details that I may have left out that people think are crucial. Okay. Then here is what I would like to do. I would like to kind of frame up the scene with Blue Mountain Scholar, Iron Lotus, and Bao Shi following the defeat, arrest, putting away of those assassins. A chance for the three of you to talk about what's going on and decide how you wish to proceed. And then we'll go to Song Da to check in on that. And then we'll look at maybe doing a once around. That's sort of the structure that I imagine here right now. Does that seem fair? So Bao Shi, where do we find the three of you? Are you at an inn? Are you at Blue Mountain Sentinel's place? Have you gone back to your offices?
I think once we left the, probably the magistrate's office where they were being processed, we left from there. And I think we found a quiet tea house to collect ourselves. I think I've probably seen, I'm good enough to recognize both of my friends are somewhat disturbed. I'm not sure why we won, but both of them seem to have some bit on their shoulders, and surely it's the mystery, then we should discuss it. And I'm sure that historian will be along shortly. Didn't he run off with that toy boy?
So are you starting this with maybe trying to comfort and support your companions?
I think so.
Okay. Then let's have you make a roll. What are you using to help bring them into better mind space there?
Let's see. I think it's wood.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that it's all of this difficulty. It is a difficult case, but between us, we're going to solve it. And I don't know exactly why we're seeming so sad, but I know that together we're going to come out of this just fine, and everyone will be happy, happy, happy.
Let's have you roll.
All right, that's 2d6. Oh God! I want to do better than this. I want to do better than this. It's only for study. Never mind, I can't. So I'm just terrible.
Where are you at? What number are you at right now?
I'm at a 4.
Oh, you are at a 4.
I can't fix that.
So I want you to mark wood. What is it about this that like you realize you're not going to be able to break through their black moods?
I think I keep bringing up that, such a clever ruse to bring in all the soldats. I saw that it was just very clever. We got to work all in on it iron. It was truly genius. Clearly you agree, Scholar. And you can see me kind of hiccup over Lost Song before I say it. I mean, and he'll be back. I mean, they're just going to have a bit of a moment, and then the historian will be back. There's nothing wrong. We're so close.
Iron Lotus, what's your reaction to that?
Oh, Iron Lotus is stuffing his face with sweets, like just drowning his sorrows in one of those tells that he's not supposed to show anybody.
I keep
Just like
ordering
stuffing them, just stuffing them into their mouth, just like listening, going, brilliant plan. Yes, of course, Master Baushi. Yes, but a moment, a very, very long, drawn out, intimate moment. Yes, of course, you're right, Master Baushi. Everything is going very, very well.
And Blue Mountain Scholar.
I think mostly I make sure that we keep having more sweets delivered to the table. I've drunk my tea and then I've sort of slid my tea out so that it's sort of on the porch so that Undaunted Zedong can pour a little wine into it for me. And then I'm drinking that and nodding, but that's about it. It may be a little more complicated than that, Baushi.
I'm sure you realize that perhaps a change of tactic, a change of conversational gambit may be in order.
Well, I suppose we should be thinking more of the issues. Let's divorce ourselves from personal thoughts and look at the facts of our case.
All right.
We have to believe that there is a rather complex plan that has gone on, and I tend to think that Skycast and Guardian have a great deal to do with this.
Interesting. I would have said almost the opposite.
Really?
That there was a simple plan, but many of them. Many of them.
You may be right on that, and having really delved into the victim, I hate to say it, I am not completely sure he shouldn't have died.
I'm sorry. And I think you sort of go, huh. Well,
And
that is
when-
neither here nor there, but we could certainly agree that many people had perhaps a motive.
And with so many people to have a motive, then perhaps there were many plans in place and one of them was bound to get it right. There are too many clues that point at too many minds behind this.
I feel certain of one thing. Magistrate DeLon is incorrect. I cannot believe that Rising Phoenix is our culprit.
Of course, that goes without saying, Rising Phoenix, she is perhaps pure in a way that many are not willing to believe in people when others are not. And you can see Iron Lotus is starting to like shift back towards,
I will add in, your sister is fortunate to have someone so devoted.
Yes, she is. Perhaps Rising Phoenix can see the good in people, and that is what was used against her.
Well, then it means we have to solve this. Otherwise, the magistrate will single-focusedly, Send her to the shop.
Master Baoshi, I tell you this because I respect you and your craft, but if we are unable to clear Rising Phoenix's name, I will have to take matters into my own hands.
My old friend, I am never one to stand in the way of disrupting miscarried justice. I will stand beside you. We shan't let this person, who is clearly innocent, suffer.
And I think Iron Lotus like bows deeply at that. Master Baoshi, I do not deserve your friendship, but I am grateful for it.
And I'll reach out and kind of pat your hand. You never have me to doubt.
Let me cut away from that to a damp cloth tending to your wounds, the shirt kind of pulled back to expose the shoulder there, the turning of that again, and then patting so your skin kind of glistens in the lamplight that's there. His hands are warm there as he tries to take care of you, and he will with care and tenderness treat you. You may clear a marked element.
Let's see, it truly was fate meeting him. It was meant to be. This here is so skillful and caring.
Are you feeling more yourself now?
It's a disturbing question after the scene I've just witnessed, but yes, I am. Thank you for tending to my wounds. You have very skilled hands.
You flatter me.
I am a historian. I'm simply observing facts.
It seems that your soul is heavy because of Iron Lotus's betrayal of your trust.
It just, I don't understand it. It comes so out of nowhere. Why would they turn against me so? Has all this time been some sort of elaborate setup? Or has someone gotten to them and influenced their mind?
Perhaps it's as simple as they aren't who you thought they were.
No.
But I am too dark, too negative in this. I'm sorry. I should not be saying such times when you need more comfort and reassurance.
No. Perhaps you speak sense. I just feel that if I were that close to someone so dangerous, he says, standing close to Gauntlet, I would feel it. I can't believe that something like that would be something I could miss.
With your skills as a historian, I don't think there's anyone who could fool you with their intent, who could pull the wool over your eyes like that.
And Songda does that sort of stops him, and he breaks eye contact and takes a half step back. Since you mention it, I do have to say I know why you're here.
And why is that?
You've come for revenge, and it's not unreasonable. I know that you've come to avenge Cold Panther. What happened back then? I don't know how I feel about it.
He reaches out his fingers, touches your lips. Perhaps I was here for that revenge, but then I met you.
I can change him. Are you sure? Such a monumental thing, a vengeance like that. For me, you would turn it aside?
I would try.
He blushes. I feel wrong. I shouldn't be inserting myself into these situations.
Now, Songda, you are a historian. You are an able thinker. So you have a couple of choices here mechanically. Would you like to study to maybe read the situation a little more deeply, or perhaps you, how shall I best put this? It's not a question of reading the situation so much as it is gone from my head what I was going to say now.
It's okay.
But what do you think? What do you think is your character's reaction here? I think the other option is inner conflict. If you find this perhaps pushing you in a couple of directions, what feels right for you right now, Patrick?
It's maybe a study.
Okay, let's have you
yeah, like the thought of his historian oath and sort of taking a step back from the situation to actually look around where we are and take a close look for the first time.
Let's have you make that roll. And what roll do you want to make that with?
Go with awareness.
Okay.
Seems like something he's perhaps missing a bit of here. That's an 8.
That is an 8. So on an 8, you get to choose an option from our list or gain a clue with a cost. You could ask a question. That's the sort of the one option from the list. Keeping in mind that with your skill, your talent, you're also going to get an additional question.
Yeah. Is he Is he serious about turning aside the vengeance?
Oh no.
Oh, that's. But he seems so. Oh, that's rude. What are his intentions with me here?
Right now, you are useful for doing something he wishes done. Like, I don't think you get like what that specifically is, but I think you can feel that intention that he
Something
has an ulterior
calculating,
motive. Yeah.
manipulative.
Yeah.
Hurtful. Oh, that's. Oh,
Now let's have that inner conflict.
yeah, that's. But he seemed so. I thought I finally found someone who understood me. Oh yeah, I think keeping his face sort of smooth and not giving away his revelations emotional journey. So caution and focus with Earth. It's a 6.
Do you want to burn a bond to avoid giving the game away to him?
You know, I do have a bond with Iron Lotus, and I mean, I'm probably just jumping to hasty conclusions here, but if there were anything genuinely dangerous about Guabotong here, surely Iron Lotus would come to help me.
Absolutely. So you can push that up to a 7. Now you've got a choice. You can mark an element, or element that you roll with, or you can flee. Flee reveals that perhaps it hasn't you haven't been fooled quite as much as he would like. Overreacting has potentially that same cost.
I can't mark an element. He just healed me so sexily. I think Songda is like taking a look around the room more, and eyes sort of darting and noting little small things that are off about how Gobotong is standing or what's here in the room. And he just starts taking slow steps back. He says, well, I cannot say how much I appreciate your help and support in this, and I do look forward to, sort of looks in his eyes, talking through this more.
You're going?
Oh, I just I should, I mean,
No. He picks his mask up. I understand. Puts it on.
but no, it's not because of it's something else very important.
I understand.
Well, it's just we'll talk very don't look like that though. I'll see you soon. Just happy thoughts. Don't be sad. Backing out of the room slowly. reluctantly.
Let's take our first break here. And when we come back, let's do kind of a once around for Bao-Shi, for Iron Lotus, for Blue Mountain Scholar. Calling scenes with other people or with PCs, NPCs, but we'll give you a chance on that. So let's take 10 for our first break, and then we'll continue on. So let's take up the sort of the next day, if we may, if we can kind of move forward a little bit. Let's do that same sort of character keeper order we've done. Bao-Shi, what is it you want to do the next day? Do you want a scene with a PC, with an NPC, something else?
I think I want an NPC. I think there is a loose end I need to tie up. I think I'd like to go and see if I could find Songbird Yule.
I think you can definitely find Songbird. He is there. There is discussion today about the possibility of doing the next round of the tournament, so people are preparing for that. But you will see Songbird Yun. He will greet you, Master Bao-Shi.
It is nice to see you. When last we met, you had reached a great rage and run off.
My
I was
anger
worried.
was not directed at you, my friend. In fact, I owe you a great debt.
Well, I admit, while I was traveling the tents shortly afterwards, I had a chance to hear your voice, though not see your face. You were conversing with Yang Mofang.
And
I assume you've heard Mofang is dead.
oh, well aware that he was killed, yes.
I admit as well that it seemed the two of you were having a pleasant conversation. The sort of conversation that would not lead to murder. So I am quite assured that you are innocent of any sort of involvement in the demise of Mofang.
That is reassuring to me. But I also had it to understand that the criminal had already been caught, arrested by the magistrate.
A person has been arrested by the magistrate. I fear the criminal has not been caught.
But at least you have said that I'm innocent, and that gives me some relief.
And I say that because and I'm sure the magistrate may not have noticed, but I noticed some rather interesting things around not only the death of Mofang, but another individual who passed rather unobserved, person of somewhat lower station, but a life is a life, a colored dust hung to both of them. A dust that I think might be poisonous, a dust that I might think causes fantasies of the mind, hallucinations, disorientation. And so I'm coming to you because you may be someone who has knowledge of this, and I would seek your advice in discovering more.
Why would you think that I would have such knowledge?
Because this dust reminded me very strongly of butterflies, and you, my friend, are knowledgeable of those things. I come, you say you owe me, but I would never call in a debt. I come only as a friend seeking advice from one who might be knowledgeable on the subject.
I would like a hearts and minds from you to keep him from bolting.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Let's see. I think I'm trying to be in control and calculated here. I think he's getting a bit of the medal. I don't think he did it, and I'm trying to prove that. So I'll take my medal. So that's a 12.
Well, I will provide you whatever information I can, Detective.
Do you know of dust involving butterflies that might cause this effect?
There are many kinds of insects that possess unusual properties, butterflies among them. There are beetles, centipedes, so on, and any of them of a very rare specific breeds might have something like that.
I'm imagining that such knowledge is rather specialized. Is there anyone you might know of here who would have that knowledge?
What are you asking, Baoshi?
I'm asking you to tell me someone besides you who could have produced this effect. My friend, I know you would have no reason to have committed this murder. Help me find the person who did.
I don't think that any answer I can give you will aid you in that endeavor.
See. That is unfortunate.
Perhaps someone is attempting to frame me. Perhaps someone knows of my clan and is attempting some sort of complex deception.
Perhaps. Perhaps so. It is unfortunate that you have no idea who that person may be. I will continue my work.
The only person I could imagine that would know of me, know of my clan, and know of my clan's methods, not that I practice them, and certainly not that I would bring them to bear here in this situation, would be Cheng Rogong, given that she has killed some of my clan members already. She knows what the many venoms sect can do. And you can tell that that's a big say for him because they are expressly forbidden, illegal, and unorthodox.
I'll give that momentary, that pause of recognition, and as I say, I see no motive for you to be involved in this at all. I'm looking to make sure we find the true culprit. Thank you for your help. And I'll kind of move in, and I'm guessing he has his butterfly cage.
It's there. It's covered as it has been.
Unless he's looking into it, right?
Right.
It's only uncovered if he's looking into it. I'll look down to it, and I don't suppose you anything that's missing, do you?
Butterflies are notoriously hard to keep. A few go missing every once in a while. I wouldn't put any thought of a thief to that.
I appreciate your time. It was selectively illuminating.
I'll take that as a win in my book.
I hope to see you again soon. And I will turn and move away.
Blue Mountain Scholar, or Janai.
Which one will it be?
And what will you do? Ooh, spicy ginger ale.
Oh, sorry, don't hurt yourself.
Sometimes I get the blowback from it.
Yes. Oh, ginger heat, people really respect that, you know. So I think, ooh, I think the thing that I want to look into is I want to go. There was something about a wig that was dropped.
Yes.
And I actually want to go and see if I can find out about the nature of that. There are a lot of wigs in the world, and they hide different things. They reveal different things. They convince people of different things. I want to see what this wig was. I have the impression that Magistrate Dallin didn't take it because he snatched up just the one item and took that as proof. Is that correct? Or
Yes. So you want to go and investigate the scene? Then let's have you make a study roll.
great. Let's see if I can succeed a roll. It will be the second one in the game if I do. I'm not.
I think you've made maybe one more roll than that.
No, I had to use my flashbacks to do it.
Well, it's a good thing you've got some more.
All right, here we go. All right, I'm gonna roll 2d6. I am going to probably use, let's see here. Guessing I'm going to use earth. No, I will use water for awareness. Okay, so I'm adding 1. I roll a 5, so that gives me a 6.
Would you like to mark a flashback?
It's the only way I'll ever succeed on anything, so yes. I just,
All right. And what shadow are you activating?
let's see here. How about family?
Okay.
And I think I will take that. And I think when Blue Mountain Scholar is walking over there, he has with him a box of correspondence from the past that he's carrying as well. I think Basang Janai, having gone through that correspondence, it was from about 15 years ago or so, came across essentially letters from her uncle to friends of his. And one of them was about Janai. And essentially, it was the first time that she read that her uncle had paid her family off so that he could raise her. But the thing of it that she remembers is that her parents told her that she was going there to serve her uncle because they were honorable and that she could not embarrass them. And that she couldn't come back because that would be an embarrassment to them, that she wasn't. And after that, her parents never acknowledged her again.
Oof. So on a 7 to 9, you can choose an option from the list, or you can gain a clue, but with a cost.
I think I'm going to ask about, like, essentially, can I assume that I can get the wig in hand?
Yeah.
Essentially. Okay, and in looking at it, what kind of wig is this, and what would it be hiding, or how should we say, or communicating if it was worn?
I don't want to narrow that down because
Okay.
it's a clue already in your quiver, and I don't want to
Okay.
cut off.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't want to
Okay,
cut
so-
off too many possibilities for you.
All right.
But I could say you have the wig in hand, so you can examine it in more detail.
All right.
When you go to that, I'd be glad to give you a different clue or something.
That sounds reasonable then.
It looks to you like since the magistrate has been here, that while this room should have been kind of kept aside and so on, it has been like people have gone through this. Like people have been here searching for something.
Really?
And I think you would get that visual of you looking at the scene and going, okay, let's assume that they didn't find what they were looking for. Where did they look? Where did they not look? What is the place that they did not look, Janai?
They didn't look the top of the pillars, which are one of the places where there's a sort of cutout detail. Like they clearly looked for something that was accessible, but they had no sense of anyone going up high.
So I think we see you kind of lighten this up to the top of one of these pillars, and you will find at the top of it is a metal carven marker. It's one of those half markers, like this is half of a piece, the other piece matches up to it. But as you take it down, you will realize that it is in fact some kind of honorary important marker for the Golden Pilgrim heroes. Like both halves together would serve as a status marker or a proof of birth or something like that for the Golden Pilgrim heroes.
And who was it that was the member of the Golden Pilgrim Heroes?
Chief Ouyang is a member of the Golden Pilgrim heroes, and Guardian Fu is associated with them, as she is like she's loosely part of their faction.
All right.
Does that seem like a fair clue?
Yeah,
You
it
can
does.
put that as number 10 on your list.
All right. Thank you.
Iron Lotus. So what happens now? What a this moment after that sort of, I don't want to say betrayal, but miscommunications with Songda, and then Bao Shi tried to perhaps comfort you and was less successful than he could have been. We take up the sort of next day. What is Iron Lotus doing? Are they still in the depths of that, or have they steeled themselves in another way? Do you want an NPC interaction or a PC interaction? What do you want?
Yeah, I think Iron Lotus would seek out Songda actually to try to I don't know what they want. I think, but they can't help but search for Songda and try to talk to him.
Songda, where does Iron Lotus find you?
Songda is feeling broody, so definitely like the tallest, pointiest thing here in the city.
Like one of the great sort of celebratory towers that has been set up for the tournament there. You've gone up to the top of that, a perch there.
Yes.
And
Like
Iron Lotus,
Batman in my feels.
Iron Lotus, you are silent and graceful, and you arrive wherever you wish in relation to where Songda is staring out at the dark night.
Yeah, and I think Iron Lotus steps forward and says, Songda, I've been looking for you. You were most difficult to find.
I thought you had a whole wagon full of me.
Songda, I cannot deny that I hurt you, but I can say oops, sorry. Thank you for interrupting that moment, my love. Anyway, and then I say, like Matthew was so silent the whole time while I was on mute, and then now he decides he has a magical ability.
Oh, that was amazing.
But yeah, so I say, I can't deny that I hurt you, but I can tell you I was only trying to protect you, as desperate as I was in that moment to see you not hurt.
In that moment, that was nothing that came up in that moment. You were planning that with a dozen people.
I have many plans to protect those that matter to me. Songda, have you heard of the conspiracy? How aware are you of the dark forces behind all of this?
There are whispers and rumors that some historians have written down, but they're just that. They're rumors. Folk tales that people tell themselves.
I sit down next to you and I place a hand very close to your hand, not touching, but I say, I lost my mother. They are not whispers or rumors to me. They are violence and they are fear and they are very, very real.
If they were real, if they were half as real as any of the rumors make them out to be, there's no way the Bureau would have run across them at some point. There would be some record of them.
I do not know. I only know that I have been chasing them for a long time and I have lost many people to them, and I wouldn't want to lose you, Songda, not you.
I don't. I looked out there and all I could see was visions of me being beaten and mowed down as if I were nothing. As if it were nothing. To take me down, to defeat me over and over again. It brought back memories I haven't thought of in a long time.
I underestimated our opponents, and all I can say is I'm sorry for the pain I caused you, but I hope you understand that what happened is testament to how dangerous all of this really is. And I will not always be here to protect you. My life may be claimed one day as well, but I just want to keep you as safe as long as I can.
I have long since appreciated and accepted the danger of this world and the perils of this life. I will not sanction other people being put in danger. People have no more place in a fight than I do for my own sake. I was informed about the nature of the martial world, and when I took my vows to the Bureau, I accepted the life that would come of it. And if that means that following some great tale or feud or missing legend gets me killed, it's the life I've chosen. That's the death I would be proud of. Do not seek to put other people's deaths on me.
And I think at that Iron Lotus stands up and says, I understand. I will respect your wishes. And I think Iron Lotus starts to walk away.
Iron. Thank you.
I do not deserve your thanks, but and I think like Iron Lotus, like for a moment, like we can see like, oh gosh, I think I had to do inner conflict. I think I'm really considering.
Thank you for
considering
walking
telling her.
yourself right there.
I was like, am I gonna tell him the truth? Oh my god. Inner conflict. I'm just gonna go ahead.
Yep.
Oh gosh. What do I have two more elements. I think I'm trying to do Earth. Okay. I think I'm trying to be cautious and present. Okay. So with that, rolling. Oh, it's 12. Oh,
See,
thank
you're
the
not
Lord.
me. Yay.
You still get to mark XP.
I do. I think there's a moment where Iron Lotus, like, I think like there's a telltale sign when Iron Lotus is about to change their disguise or something when they pull at their shoulder to reveal different clothes or something. And there's a moment where Iron Lotus looks like he's going to change, but then his hand drops and he says, "One day when I'm strong enough, I'll tell you everything." And then I leave mysteriously.
So, Song Da. What do you want for your scene here in this once around? After that interaction.
So I think Songda is confused now. I'm well, confused in a new way.
More confused. Yeah, a new confusion. Okay.
Since having spoken with Iron Lotus and trying to maybe I misread that situation somehow, reassessing all of it, and that going along with like the niggling worry about Galvotong, I think he starts replaying in his head all of the incredibly ominous things that Galvotong has said calmly to him over and over again, that he's maybe been overlooking. And well, we've already had one murder here, and I know that Galvotong is here to seek revenge on Chief Ouyang. And he may be justified or he may not. Well, I don't know. I haven't decided, and it wouldn't be my place to interfere, but also I should be there to see it. I'm just going to stealthily follow Galvotong, see what he's up to, just staying completely safe and out of sight, until he either reveals some part of his plan or goes after the chief, and then I have to decide. I don't know what to do with that.
Well, it's super easy because they're doing the tournament today, so you know where he's going to be today.
That's true. So yeah, I'll go towards the center of the city and see if I can't find him preparing and keep eyes on him.
Does this feel like a study?
Sure.
Okay.
I think this is fire. I think this is him trying to remember all of his training as a historian and get back to his sort of core element of trying to figure out what's up with this guy. That's an 8.
Okay. So you have a choice. Clue or with a cost, or mark a shadow and bump that up.
Do a clue with that cost right now.
Okay. I think you will watch Guabotong, observe throughout this day, and I think that you kind of note that, let's see how we can, what's a good one we can add to this here. Trying to think of something here that doesn't like completely narrow things.
I sympathize. I take long Brindlewood pauses. I'm going, no. I'll get back to you guys. There's totally a clue. It's here. Just hold on.
Shane does this dramatic thing where she like cuts away to the next person. Where she goes, I'll tell you what you found when I get back to you.
I think that you will find in the sort of the wake of Guabotong's departure from his chambers there, that you take advantage of that moment to look around there. And I think you will find that he doesn't have much, but in the lining of a small satchel that's there, you will find, you can feel that there's something in there, and when you kind of unweave the lining, you'll find that there are a set of papers there. And it's very clear that Guabotong has detailed notes on the contestants and detailed notes on what went on last year. Like what the sequence of events, what occurred, how things happened. And it's very clear that he's trying to figure out how Mo Feng won last year. Does that seem like a fair clue?
Yeah. And I have my free study question as well.
Absolutely. You can ask that, and then I'll tell you the cost.
Cool. I'm just going to go ahead and assume that he was going for some form of vengeance against someone today. So, when is he planning on striking?
Well, I'm going to ask another question, because here's the cost.
Raggy.
I think there's that bit where you step out from the chambers out towards the field, and you see him engaged in his duel. And there is that moment where he kind of looks, maybe kind of turns a little bit, and he sees you. And then you see him pull the sword back, and he brings it down, and he chops off the head of his opponent.
Oh, snap. Who was his opponent?
And you see Guardian Fu's body fall to the sand, and everyone gasps.
I'm gasping. Oh, no.
And yes, he did that deliberately. You have a study question?
Ah,
Thank you, Jim. For those at home, Jamie has written in the chat, I think the question is, how can you hurt me like this?
What is Skycast Red planning on doing about that?
Skycast Red has jumped to his feet, as has Chief Yang. And Skycast Red, like for him, he's just seen another woman that he cares about cut down in the arena, and you can tell there's murder in his mind. But he stops himself because he clearly knows that he cannot beat Garo Yang. Like he knows he can't beat him. He's going to have to take other steps. Does that seem like a fair answer?
Yeah.
All right. We're going to take 5, catch our breath. And when we come back, I think we have to have a talk with throwing around ideas, kind of round robining, getting some thoughts on the table, and move to our theorize. All right. So a quick 5-minute break, and then we'll continue on.
think I have a theory.
I'm going to start with, I think Sherry also has a theory. I know you started last time, so I'm going to let.
Oh yeah, move it around.
Move it around. Let Sherry have the first
Oh yeah,
piece of discourse.
This is fun. I love this mashup.
I'm enjoying it because
You
what has worked for me is really stretching out the time to interact with NPCs in a way that, and I think I mentioned this before, when I ran Brindlewood Bay, it's very much on the, and Patrick remembers this, very much on the, okay, 2 sessions per mystery at most.
Clue.
Yeah. Whereas this has allowed us by my taking that limiter off.
It's because Hearts of Wulin is amazing, and folks at home, you can get it.
Yes, you can get it now in PDF.
Excellent on TTRPG.
The only problem with it being on PDF is now I can see the stats on how many copies are sold, and of course, my obsessive compulsive self means I have to check that every day.
Sounds painful.
It is. All right. So I would like to imagine that we are in Baoshi's offices, that we have fallen back to the group has reconvened there after a brief delay in the tournament because ceremonial rites have to be done and so on. There's a pause for the day after a death of that significance. So we take up with you in this office. Your housekeeper has come up and has brought food and things like that. And the 4 of you. So let's get a little frame of this scene, and then let's go to Blue Mountain Scholar. So
can I ask a basic question first?
Yeah, please.
So what just happened there in the tournament ring? How legal was that situation? How moral was that situation? And how much did that follow the rules of the tournament?
So it is legal. It is a dueling tournament. How much is it? I mean, the rules of the tournament allow that to occur. Okay. The thing that will be perceived by people is that was unnecessary.
Gotcha.
And it will be perceived as bad form in
just sort of
some
looking
ways.
For our baseline.
Yeah. It would clearly people will. Nobody can like press a case, but people will certainly disgruntled by what occurred.
They will boo him.
Yes.
Like they did Mofang. So
Iron Lotus, so when we come into the offices here, where do we see you? How are you positioned? What's your body language? Where are you seated at?
Sorry, my brain froze for a moment. Where we?
So you've gone back to your offices, the rooms that you kind of share with your Holmes. There, the kind of walk up there.
Yeah, I think Iron Lotus is poring over all of the tournament records, right? And is standing over a desk and is trying to perceive the patterns as they are. It looks fairly serious. There's also like a full tea set to the side, like, and Iron Lotus is just like absent-mindedly like eating more cookies that they shouldn't be eating.
And Baoshi, how have you set the stage?
I have made sure there's tea and nibbly bits. And I think that, we have that kind of feel of this is a research place as well as our business place. So there are books here. There's where we, this probably is where Iron Lotus and I also spend our like downtime. We this is our den office, that sort of thing. We accept clients here. But it has a comfortable feel to it as well. And I think as Iron Lotus is pouring over things, the other two are, they're here in our space. I think I'm like moving from looking at what Iron Lotus is looking at the other two, but also have this kind of dreamy, I'm clearly in my head in a lot of ways.
Okay. And Songda, what's your matter? Are you now, have you switched to the more sort of historian, concentrating, looking through things mode? Are you still sort of discombobulated? Or what is your mode now in this situation?
So I think Songda is coincidentally on the other side of the room from Iron Lotus, and still seems a bit sort of discombobulated out of it. I think he's standing near a window, and as it turns so he can see through it, it's got a view of like the tournament area. I don't think directly into the center, but I think maybe there's some like a couple of workers wheelbarrowing out some red sand and some other workers wheelbarrowing in some fresher sand, as he's just like standing there contemplating it, and every now and then when he's completely sure no one else is looking, sneaking a look over at Iron Lotus, but like he's not really looking at anything.
And I assume it's Blue Mountain Scholar that we see on screen.
Sure.
And so Blue Mountain Scholar, how are you seated? What's your position?
I think that like where they're all sort of pacing around, moving around, taking up these things, Iron Mountain is actually kind of set down by the low table where the tea is and the wine and the things. And he's set down a box where he's kept, essentially, it's clearly a correspondence box, right, of history stuff. Set that down.
Then let's begin our discussion. Again, I'm going to try and traffic direct. We're going to kind of freewheel ideas and so on. I know that everybody has a little experience in how this goes. Sherry, let me start with you, and then we'll kind of move around.
Right. I think Blue Mountain Scholar will start out with the first thing that struck me when we came to this competition was how many of the contestants were also guests at the Sun household. And we know that Sun was one of the murderers of Faye Dion, and that he became paranoid and essentially began to murder and ended up destroying his household and his school before he was found out and put down. I believe that that is the same tactic that has been used here at the competition.
Interesting.
I do not consider that person who has made them paranoid to be the murderer. That would be a strength, but I do not think that they have any good intent for their targets, their own kind of vengeance, less direct than Gualbotong's, let us say. At least to begin with. I put forward that I think it was Chief Yang who has been pressed into acting. But we can go through the evidence. We can see if there is something contrary to that, something that it means that is not how it worked. However, there's literally sheafs of evidence in the room with Mofang that could have indicated any number of people. The sort of thing that someone who wanted anyone else other than themselves to be blamed. It is a tactic one would expect of someone who had falsely implicated another in the murder that they themselves probably had a lot more to do with. So I've spoken of motive, but I have drawn it from the pattern from the previous household, the previous incident that we were involved in. Thoughts?
Very interesting. I have a theory myself. I will propose it as somewhat complimentary and perhaps pointing towards a motivating force that is somewhat different. I put it out, of course, as we should pick it apart. But this is what comes to my mind. I believe that, as you say, Chief Yu Yang is very paranoid about what is to come. But I propose that Batong was what he was fearing. And I have a thought that either because Batong pushed him, or, well, because Ouyang did, Songbird Young went to our murdered and offered up a bonus to their fighting style. Poison. I believe that our deceased has used every means possible to take advantages and has tried to hide that as much as possible in the past. And I believe that Chief had allowed this because they were supposed to help protect them. And thus, I believe a servant was sent with this poison to Mofang. However, I do not believe that the chief had taken into account how angry Skycast and Guardian were. And while Guardian knew that it was her duty to defend the pillar, in the end, it was Sky who convinced her to go to Mofang's tit in the night and attempt to slay them. But when they arrived, they found instead that Mofang had taken the proffered poison and had become confused. And thus, while they could have struck, they did not need to. The poison took down Mofang due to Mofang's own inabilities. Because they could not stand the sight of Mofang with Sky's wife upon the painting, they ripped that part out and took it with them. And then they departed. It is in fact Mofang who killed Mofang.
One thing I'll add sort of in factual, just as a note, one of the things that you had drawn as perhaps a potential conclusion in a previous session you knew that Songbird Ewan had been at the previous year's competition, and that there was some discussion amongst you that perhaps at that point he had assisted Mo Fang in Mo Fang's victory that previous year.
Perhaps even a trusted element.
Except not so much that Mo Fang would threaten to take the sword that Songbird wanted. So, that is an interesting but complicated thing, but they will all be complicated. Again, I say many small plots, but let us see. Let us see.
And you've been studying all of these reports. I trust you have perhaps some thoughts?
And I think at this point, Iron Lotus turns around and from an older case that Bao Shi had solved, there's like a mask that Iron Lotus places over their face. And he says, I think what we are forgetting, Master Bao Shi, is the mysterious masked men who were so determined to lethally protect their secrets. I think if we can solve who is behind each of these masks, we will know who is manipulating all these plots and all these heartbreaks from behind the shadows. And I turn to Songdan, I take off the mask. And you intimately know of one person who wears a mask, but we don't know what role he has to play. What do you think?
I think he wouldn't be afraid to kill his targets in broad daylight in front of the entire city.
And in fact, I believe he plans to win the tournament and ask for Chief Olang's life.
Seem to agree. But that's not the murder that we're trying to investigate.
Absolutely.
It's also not the actions of an innocent man. I'm not trying to clear him of that, but he has been very straightforward in his vengeance so far.
We know that there's an intense amount of gambling money behind this. It's probably part of the pressure that is on Chief Ouyang.
I think that's accurate, but I'm not as sure if, well, I believe there's a great deal of gambling money behind this, but I believe that maybe the chief was not so unsure of who would win. Until this death, I think the chief was well aware of who was going to win, and perhaps invited our poor Prince of Pearls, King of Pearls, into this mess. And thus, that is why we found the assassins at poor Songda's door.
I do think I would be willing to bet that one of those masked warriors was Guardian Fu herself. And perhaps that is why she was killed. A loose end. Perhaps she had a change of heart.
The only thing I'll say is, at least for facts established in the fiction already, is we know that who those four are, that they're mercenaries that were hired. Now we may have been that one or more of them was covering their identity, but just that's a piece of fact that we had in the fiction.
And she's also, we think, associated with Golden Pillar, right? So
Golden
she
Pilgrim,
would, yeah, she would be a valid target to kill just out of vengeance, I suppose. Yeah.
So we know, and your statement is the assumption that Chef Ouyang knew that Fang Mo Fang would show up again this year and then that everyone would bet on him to win.
It is my guess that he.
Which would be ideal for the gambling things, because then they would bet on someone else and then make sure Yang Mofang could not win.
Yes. And it would
There
be
may
safe
have been
money
an
for the
agreement
chief.
that something that would go like that, except that Mofang would refuse.
If we suggest that the chief killed him, that is very possible. I do, of all these things, I believe that Rising Phoenix is innocent, and I have to believe that it is pure circumstance, both the wig and the pin. None of that seems to fit in with my concept of this crime at all.
It actually fits in just fine. If you consider that Yang Mofang got his place, showed up here with a certain amount of blackmail against Chief Yang, was probably involved in the accusations against Cold Panther. Perhaps his involvement even goes back all the way to the death of Fei Yan. I do not know. But someone had gotten a hold of, and she'll hold up a copper marker, half of a marker of Golden Pilgrim Heroes. It's the kind of thing you give someone as a, on my honor, I will not go against this promise. And if Yang Mofang was holding that against Ouyang, he would have to go along with it. And he would want it back. I found it in that room where the wig was. If Ouyang were going to search that room, he would not be able to search it as himself.
That's true. I would still believe that it is Guardian Fu who that token belonged to. Perhaps it's an effort to draw him out. In fact, it may be
an effort to draw him out. Who?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
To draw out Baton.
Tong.
I continue to believe that the chief is most concerned about Baton.
Oh, he is now. I mean, he definitely is. Don't get me wrong. Baton is going to kill him if we don't. Yeah. But we're talking about who killed Yang Mofang.
And to clarify, let's clarify the point that you're making here. The token was found in Mofang's chambers, suggests that it was hidden by Mofang, that Mofang had possession of it, and he was hiding it. And the supposition that you're drawing is that somebody used the wig to kind of disguise themselves to search for that token. So you kind of have a sense of who the token belonged to, and where that connects that way.
Who was carrying it, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Yeah, I think that. Hell, I'm gonna pull up a moment here into a meta.
Yeah, well, I think we have to. Yeah, with this kind of discussion,
Yeah.
we have to.
Yeah,
to go.
we will
Yeah.
have to do that.
Yeah, I don't think the chief killed Mofang.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
my supposition, because
So who do you think did?
I think that Galbaton arranged for that death.
He had hardly an evening to do that.
I think that the chief had been using Mofang as the strong arm in this tournament to protect himself. and that it was this setup to bring him down that would bring Mofang, no, Batao, Batong.
Can I pause and have you clarify something? You said that Mofang was there in your supposition to protect Ouyang. Protect him from what?
Protect him from this vengeance. I think that he was aware that someone was coming for him.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Because I don't see a good reason for the chief to get rid of this person. Because I don't think, especially after we've had this person clearly bent on revenge, you would get rid of the most capable person of beating them. And if we suppose, and I think he would have as well, he would want the reward of I can kill you or you must fight me. You'd want to keep the strongest warrior in the fight because that ain't what they want.
So I guess if you were doing it purely as power, I took that as Ouyang has done wrong. Mofang was part of that plot and had something over on him. Ouyang knew it was going to go bad when he went to talk to Mofang. Mofang was not helpful. And he knew he had to take him down, and he did.
And how to, and at the, I'm certainly not. I'm not trying to challenge her.
Right, exactly. So that was my thing. So that would be the reason why is that there is all this money. He needs to go down anyway. Or he had like got that all planned. Then if you went and asked Mofang for help, would you get help from Mofang?
Well, we saw Songbird did with a cost.
No, he said he was going to keep the sword. That's the kind of person Mofang was.
And certainly to follow in on some of the thoughts about Mofang, to clarify what we know about him, we have suspicions last year that his victories were not entirely legitimate. There were indications that he had used methods to potentially cheat that you had uncovered, which is potentially a connection then to Songbird Yun and his techniques.
Then
Absolutely.
do we have, going off of that theory, how was he killed?
There were so many attempts going on simultaneously. Let us begin with the book. For one thing, the blue powder. I think that Ouyang had access to some of that. I think Mofang had access to some of that, but I also think that our little thief had access to some of that. And essentially what has happened is that was one of those things that was an obvious implicates someone else for a act that you are going to do. It was almost so easy. Chang Rogang was already gunning for Songbird Yun, had a thief at their disposal. I don't think any of them knew what they were using, in the sense of, think of it like the powder from a butterfly that eats datura, right? There's the hallucinations, and if there's enough of it, you have a heart attack. It's that sort of thing. If you throw it in a fight, it throws off your ability to cope with what's going on. So let's say that it's like that. No one goes, this is going to kill someone. They're using it because they want someone off their feet. Easy to hit, not not functioning. So I think that there are a lot of different sources that could have come from. So I've given you 3, maybe 1, maybe 2 of them, maybe all 3 of them, if that makes sense.
But the chief went in himself.
I do think that the chief went in himself. I think that actually killing him, probably he might have tried for some other outcome, but he was paranoid. He knew that the gambling situation was going to come at him, and he knew that Mo Fang had that marker on him and could implicate him and make it, how should we say, could ruin him even if he did get rid of Gua Botang. I do believe that it would have been something like, sure, I can kill him, but then maybe I'll tell everyone. I think that's almost word for word how he spoke to Songbird Gillen, wasn't it?
Let me get Iron Lotus, Songda. Your impressions have had some back and forth with Bao Shi and a Blue Mountain Scholar.
I have no idea.
Okay. I mean, it's not about having a full idea. It's about looking at some of the things and saying, does this fit in? How? What would this mean? Or does it throw the explanation out? That's what you're doing. You're not trying to come up with one and only. You're arguing that this may have happened and then looking for someone to find a thing that says it doesn't, or come up with a better, cleaner explanation for some part of it. So you don't have to do the big thing, the whole thing.
Iron Lotus?
Yeah, I think mainly I have difficulty following because I'm looking at the clues and I'm not sure how all of them fit in.
Yeah, we would walk through that, right? So pick a clue and we can walk through how that
Well,
may have happened.
let's take your hypothesis, Sherry,
Yes.
and let's walk through the clues, understanding that some of the clues can be integrated if you can tell me that they're red herrings, and you can also skip certain clues if you want to leave them out. You have 11 clues. You only need 7 if you want to roll with a +0, but at the most you need is 10. So let's walk, Sherry, let's have you walk through your version.
All of it? Okay. So my thing, or essentially, well, this is my thing. I think that much like at the Sun household, situation was set up to make Chief Yo-Yang paranoid. There was pressure on him already with the gambling interests and stuff like that, and Yang Mofang showing up and having been run through the thing last year.
So that
cheating.
let me pause here. That accounts for clues 8 and 9, the hired assassins,
8 and 9.
And the fiery devils. Okay.
Yes. And then essentially also we will get down to the half a marker as part of it. So essentially Chief Yang needed Mofang to not win this time. He needed to have that conversation. Things were going bad already. Gao Batang had shown up. He knew that his life was in danger and he needed Mofang to probably kill Botang for him and then lose otherwise. I think we can all imagine how that rolled out with Mofang, and I would say that he was the one who killed him, or at least decided then that he had to kill him, and went back to make all the choices. But as we walk through these other clues, there may have already been plenty of implication building up for these other people being involved. All right?
Okay, do you want to walk through those other clues?
Sure, sure. You want me to walk through all of them?
It's up
okay.
to you. We can just leave
I
it
can
off. And we
do
can
it,
start
though.
again from the.
I just
from
don't
the,
want to be talking and talking and talking. So, but
I don't know how we should frame this. If we need to frame this as one person goes through part of their case and then another person goes through theirs. I'm not sure what the best way to handle that is.
okay. So why don't we say we know that a painting was cut from a scroll. Baus, you said that he thought it was a scroll of Guardian Fu and Skycast Red. And in fact, you thought that that might be their reason for having snuck in to try to kill him.
No, I think I had said that I believed it was a picture of Skycast's wife with Yang, and that it had been taken in anger. Is that right? Yes, because we knew that there had been. Oh no, I'm wrong on that. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, there's no affair between
Yeah.
those two.
Then yeah, it's probably. Yeah, I was off on that.
Okay. So it could be some blackmail. It could be, and I agree with you that it's definitely blackmail. It could be Guardian Fu and Skycast Red as blackmail that he used against them or taunted them with. It could because he's a jerk. Or it could have been something like, the whole gang that took down Faye Dion or took down Gold Panther together, because they would have been like the heroes that found the murderer of Faye Dion. There would be that picture of them with a very young Yang Mofang.
This does suggest a compromise, actually,
Okay.
because you're talking about multiple plans, right?
Yes.
So what I think you're hinting at, Blue Mountain Scholar, and suggesting, Baoshi, is that it is not Skycast Red and Guardian Fu or Shiho Yang, that they know each other. They're associated together. Guardian Fu is tight with Ouyang. Guardian Fu is tight with Skycast Red. They all three of them have reasons. So Chief Ouyang needs this gambling to go the way he wants it. And then when Botong shows up, you're suggesting that the three of them colluded on this murder.
I don't think that's what I'm saying. I have been saying from the beginning, I do not believe the chief was the killer. I believe that that Yang was working for the chief, who'd been running a dirty gambling thing, had a champion he thought was unbeatable, encounters, finds out there is this, other person coming in, which ramps up things. But I honestly believe it is, my supposition is in the process of getting advantages, Mofang poisons themselves. That is my theory.
But there was blood all over. So what was that?
Yeah. He didn't die of poison.
Then I have to go with your theory. Mine, yeah.
I was like, what poison?
Yeah, I'm pulling off the, some greater time away, but yeah, I think yours begins. Yeah, I still don't see why the chief would want him dead, but your theory seems most sound. I'm willing to throw to it. Does anyone have other thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, my thing would be it was time for Yang Mofang to reassure the chief that he was going to lose this time so they would win the gambling. And then when Botang showed up, and also take Botang out. And that argument did not go well.
I will say for clues we have on the board, I think that the Prince of Pearls we know was the one who hired these assassins. I think that was a ploy to lure out Botong, because I think it was observed that Song Da and he had some connection. That's the only reason I could see for sending assassins out after Song Da in an attempt to bring him out, and that brings them into action.
It does make sense of the last clue 11, then, that they knew that Guo Botong was looking into what had occurred last year and this year. And maybe if there is some duplicity,
That Song Da may have known.
just because of their, I mean, two people who were investigating, looking into it. Let's walk through that. Gives us 4 of the clues. We've got the wig as a thing that was left, so that's a clue on there. What do you think the painting was that was cut from the scroll? Is that evidence against the chief, or some more blackmail stuff that Mo Fang had?
It could be either. I will give either one of those. I think it was one or the other.
Any thoughts, Jamie, Patrick?
So, what is this theory again?
So the working hypothesis. So let's start. This is the working hypothesis that we're examining right now in light of the clues. Chief Ouyang is the killer of Mo Fang because of his need to manipulate the gambling, and Mo Fang pushing back against that. But we also know that Mo Fang has various pieces of blackmail and control over people. So Chief Ouyang has engineered this to kill Mo Fang and to implicate other people, which then actually which explains the yellow powder. Then, if he's aware of the situation from last year, then he's the one who has access to that and knows how to plant that.
Then, okay, if we're looking for a little more reason behind it, so how about Chief Ouyang after last year's performance and working up his debts was working with Yang Mo Fang to build him up as this amazing, unbeatable fighter who's going to come back in and sweep the tournament. But he was going to have Mo Fang throw the tournament at the last minute.
Okay.
But as part of like building up his reputation, making sure that he could fight the fights he needed so that people would believe he would be invincible, Chief Ouyang helped him get that corrupted martial training book. And as the infection started working through Mo Fang, and he was studying the corrupted martial training book, he refused to go along with taking the fall.
Excellent. Nice. Because we've talked about the fact that the chi imbalance just changes people's personalities and behaviors.
So Ouyang knew that Botong was coming on his vengeance kick, had gotten threats or some word of it. And so kills off Mo Fang to go ahead and ruin the bets and help settle some of his debts there. And he knows that Botong is probably going to work his way up the food chain to him. So if he starts the murder spree early when Botong's not ready, that means that probably people will catch Botong before they get to him.
I
like this. And I think we can put, if the chief is aware of how the situation, that suggests that he knows how Mo Fang won last year. It suggests he is probably in on it, probably knows how Songbird works, and maybe was implicating him as well, which tells us if he had a servant go and put the dust on Mofeng, but the servant is not particularly skilled with that, then that's how the servant dies nearby.
Makes sense. And my guess is the chief himself would not get into risk, and instead calls on his fellow member of the Golden Pilgrims. And there's the convincing moment of, well, he killed your wife. Surely we can do this together. As Guardian Fu and Skycast are actually the ones who go and do the killing. And that's our argument we heard.
Okay. We are at a +3 roll on Theorize. Who wants to roll it? Who rolled it last time?
Tyler rolls it.
I rolled it
because-
last time.
Tyler rolls it because it's his solution that
I think it was
But
your
it was mostly
solution.
based on your theory,
Yeah,
Sherry.
I think
You
you
have to
got
roll
it,
it.
honey.
No, but you said it was Skycast and Fu who killed
Oh.
Tyler has rolled it already, so it has to be one of the other three of you.
them. You guys have seen my rolls. You do not want me to roll it.
Jamie, Patrick, will either of you take the hit?
Okay, I can see Patrick's fear. I will take it, but if I roll low, no one's allowed to get upset. That's all I'm gonna say. So it's a +3, right?
It is rolling with a +3.
All right, here we go. 11. Damn. Yes.
So I think there is that bit where we see that narration kind of come to, you know, its close with Magistrate Delan around, with other public members there, and with Chief Ouyang there, Gao Botong, like we have the whole cast of characters there as we've seen the four of you like go through this theory. And I think there's a moment where we see Chief Ouyang stand up to absolutely dispute this. And as he stands, I think we hear, yes, it's all true. And we see Skycast Red break down in tears. She's dead because of you. She's dead because of you, Chief. And he is weeping great tears there. And Songda, out of the corner of your eye, you see Botong start to move. What do you do?
I have to go follow him.
Oh, follow him. He is clearly going to move to kill Chief Ouyang right now.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
You look.
I was
you're
going to
like,
ask, are we going to like let the tournament go so Botan can kill the chief, and then we'll cut to this. So
I'm sorry, we have 15 minutes left. I'm
Yeah.
hard framing. I'm hard framing like a motherfucker. Songda, what do you want to do? Do you try and stop him? Do you get in the way? Do you help him? Is he righteous in his cause?
I think there is a shot of Song Da's. I think there's like a shot of Song Da's hand gripping his ink brush, like his knuckles white, gripping it. and then there's just like a sort of like slow-mo shot of his feet as he starts running forward, and you see the ink brush like fall slowly and clatter loudly to the ground as he is rushing forward to try and put himself in the middle of a situation he should just be watching.
Let's have you roll overcome. And then I'm going to come and see what Iron Lotus does.
This is all the bad ideas. Let's fire. That's an 8.
That is an 8. So I think you get in the way and he slashes you.
Yeah, like I'm just putting up my arm to say no, and then I'm going to reason with him, and we have this connection, and just coldness.
Cuts into you, mark an element or mark wounded. Iron Lotus, what do when you see Guabotong just go to cut down Songja?
I'm gonna fuck him up. I'm gonna do everything I can. I'm just going to lose it and attack him, I think.
Okay. So right now, he's a higher scale than you.
Yeah.
So let's have you roll that, and then we'll figure out what Janai and Blue Mountain Scholar are going to do.
100%. Okay, so let's see. Can I use my shadow boxing to say my secret group is aiding me to help even out a bit?
Yeah, let's have you roll that, because if that goes terribly wrong,
Yeah,
then
exactly.
everything else will go terribly wrong.
Yeah. True. Yeah, and I think it's as simple as them showing up to assist in the fighting, right? Like it's that kind of wuxia thing where like several people throw themselves at one person to distract them. Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna say I'm gonna go for metal. Okay, let's see how it goes. 13.
So they are there. They are on it.
My God.
They are doing that. Let me then check it. That's going to reduce his scale by a tick. Let me check with Bao Shi and Zanai before you step up. Zanai, what are you doing? Here are the two things that are occurring that is going to strike you. One is that Guabotong is struck your friend down and is clearly not going to care who he cuts down to get to Chief Ouyang, but also Chief Ouyang is looking at the exit.
I do think this is the thing is, and also I know Chief Ouyang has plenty of connections that will get him off of this. So I will make sure that Chief Ouyang does not get out, if that makes any sense.
Let's have you roll overcome.
Oh God. Okay. All righty then. I will. Let's see here. I will.
It doesn't bother me because this is what she does every time I make her roll in 13th age, whatever.
Roll 2d6 and add
Dare
2.
you with dice? You're making her roll with dice.
So I got an 8.
An 8. So I think you have to mark an element, but you will get in the way to keep him. Your blades are up. Keep him from getting away. Bao Shi.
So she stopped him from getting away.
Yeah.
And I see this horrible striking down occurring.
Yeah. And do you want to try and help Iron Lotus?
I think that I was well aware that this was going to happen. And in fact, had laid a trap.
Oh, yes.
And so I would like to do my lay a trap, and then I'm probably going to go into an aid to help. I'll decide
Absolutely.
which of them I want to help there. But yeah,
Well,
okay.
and if you get a 10 plus, I'll let you pass that +2 forward on if you
Oh,
want.
thank you. Oh, that's wonderful. All right then. So this is clearly my calculations and knowing what's
Yeah.
going to happen. Come on, roll well. It'd be lovely if you rolled well. I did not roll fantastically. So
You've got 2
5.
bonds.
I do. And I'm gonna spend them. I think that as I see Blue Mountain getting in the way of the escape, making sure that doesn't happen, I yell over, you shouldn't have. They're coming. It's trigger the trap. Trigger the trap.
I like to imagine Rising Phoenix is like, oh, like pulls on like a piece of rope at that point. Let's so
That gets me to a 7.
that gets you to a 7. So Iron Lotus, you have a brief moment where you are on the same scale with this guy. You don't have a +2 forward, but maybe assistance can happen. But right now, let's see if you can take advantage of this moment.
Okay, here we go. And I think so I take out the flute, right? And I start going straight for the chi points. But I think like Iron Lotus's eyes look completely dangerous, like in a way that hasn't happened before. Right after he said he didn't want to lose Song that. God. Anyway, I'm gonna roll.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna roll with my style. Okay. 11.
Tell me what that looks like as you drop him before he can finish cutting through Song Da to get to his target. Your friend, your assistants, your group are there. The trap explodes out from under his feet. He's caught by that, staggers back. These people come and hit. He smashes them back, gives you that opening. What do we see you do?
Yeah, I think I drop in and I smash my fist against. I look for every single weak point that he has and just twist, just really disrupting the chi as violently as possible.
And I think that last blow, if I may, I think when you hit him with that last blow, I imagine that mask shatters because you unbalance his chi so much that it blows the mask off. And whereas we've seen him in beautiful stuff, I think now we see the hair kind of strangly, that mad, angry look of that just rage on his face as he drops to the ground. His chi completely unbalanced. I ask you this: do you show him mercy?
I look at Songda, who's bleeding, and I don't show mercy.
And I think it gets very still then as Magistrate Delan goes, "Yes, we have you, Chief Ouyang," and puts his hand on his shoulder, puts her hand on his shoulder and nods to you, Blue Mountain Scholar.
I nod officiously and I'm like, God damn it, it would have been easier if you'd done. No.
So let's do a not a big long epilogue, but let's do an kind of an immediate aftermath epilogue of this. Does that seem okay? Let's start with Song Da.
I think Song Da's epilogue is right there in the moment. And it's this sort of the crowd and the chaos quiet and sort of slow down. There's a bit of focusing impossibly across the crowd as Iron Lotus pulls their sword out and moves to the side. And Songda is there, like blood splashed across his face, blood on his hands, as one of the, more spoken about legendary Wulin heroes lays dead in front of him. And just in like a moment of clearing across the crowd, there is Sister Lushan standing there, staring in shock and horror at him as like one tear leaks down her cheek. And she turns and disappears through the crowd before Songdan can say anything.
Iron Lotus.
I think like we just see all the life and color like bleed out of Iron Lotus's eyes as he comes to and realizes what he's done. But he turns around and just like really methodically like just tries to wipe away the blood on Songda's face, but it's not really working. Like, and I think Iron Lotus is on the verge of like breaking down. And he just whispers, it almost wasn't enough. You could have been, I'm sorry.
Bao Shi.
I think we have this kind of, as the people are being led away, and Bao Shi looks relatively pleased that no one he cares about died, and it was a successful case. Everything went right. As he, looks over towards his friend Janai, even inside of the disguise. Well, it turned out as we'd hoped. And the historian has survived it. I've noticed that you seem to have an interest in setting up Iron Lotus with the young man, and I don't disapprove. And as much sweets as Iron Lotus has been eating now, I think that, something to cheer him up would... Wasn't there something you were asking about sweets on Iron Lotus?
I just noticed he was a fan. I think he likes the sesame with the honey.
It's rather a new trait.
But as you said, Iron Lotus is somewhat different than he was a year ago.
Yes. Now that you mention it, I think he is.
And only for the better.
And I think that's where it sort of ends, as Bao looks over towards Iron Lotus and probably has some thoughts in his head.
And Blue Mountain Scholar?
I think there's that sort of kind of watching as the chief is taken away, and actually stopping by Blue Mountain Sentinel and saying, there will be many forces arrayed attempting to bring this man away from the justice he deserves. We have to be vigilant.
I will stand as a sentinel on this. He sent people to attack guests in my household. I will not let him escape justice.
Thank you. Your perseverance is appreciated. And I'll bow to him. Then I'll walk a little bit further and I will hand a box of letters to Undaunted Zedong. on the spine it says Faye Dion.
Interesting. And I think that is where we are going to stop the session. I wouldn't mind a quick stars wishes. Well, certainly my wish is that we do a second season of this with a couple more mysteries if down the road. I like these characters. I would like to play with this system some more. And there are a lot of interesting questions about the greater conspiracy and the puzzle swords and things like that that I would like to come back and revisit. So that's my stars and wishes.
Those puzzle swords. Oh, we need to be on an island in the middle of the sea that we can't get away from it. There's a puzzle sword thing. And people start dying.
Patrick, last thoughts, comments, wishes?
This is awesome. This is such a natural mashup between these two games. And I really like where the pacing sort of settled itself into. There's a nice mixture back and forth of these complicated interpersonal dramas and the complications of the mystery. This mystery in particular was interesting because the way that it could have been like one of those Clue the movie endings where just like everybody had some small part in it. You know, we sort of moved away from that a little and consolidated down a little, but it really was just all these plots, and it was hard to tell which one were the plotty plots and which one were just like decorative plots. But it was a really great feel for this mystery. I loved the heartbreaking back and forth between Iron Lotus and Song Da. I absolutely hated anti-Star to making my beautiful evil boyfriend ugly. Disagree. So wrong.
He'll be handsome when he's in prison. No, he's dead.
Oh no. Yeah, wishes is I want to see another season of this, another arc of this. I've sort of got this idea in my head just now, and who knows with time and whatever, but like Song Da sort of being like brought up on charges by Sister Lucian, like having to go through a sort of like trial ordeal of, do you deserve to be a historian still, sort of thing.
Nice.
That'd be great.
Nice. Jamie.
Yeah, thank you so much for hurting me. It was fantastic. Numerous times from both Patrick and Lowell. It was exquisite. And so I think big stars to, yeah, I just, Lowell, I thought you handled the pacing really well. I thought it hard framed to the perfect moment, and we got like a really satisfying conflict and duel. I thought that was really beautifully handled. And yeah, like I think in terms of wishes, like I was really lost during the theorized part. I think mainly because we kept talking about it from a very big overarching perspective, and I was like looking at the clues trying to go like, but which one fits into. And I think I'm also slightly spoiled because I've been playing the Between lately, and what happens is like the character keeper, like you caught, like what would happen instead is that one person, or one person would go through 1 to 3 clues and then check them off and say this is what's happening, then someone else would like, so it was more of a back and forth between several people.
Okay.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's like just natural because everyone can see like what's been checked off or what hasn't yet, but the Between is also slightly easier now because you answer several questions, not just one. And each one is only like a difficulty of 4 or a difficulty of, right? So I think it's something to think about. Like,
interesting. I'll have to take a look at that more closely.
Yeah. So it's an interesting, so you have some build up so that you can clump clues together, right? But yeah, I mean, it's aside from that, I also kind of wish we went for a more like clue climax of like everybody was
Everybody
involved,
did.
but
I was wanting to go through that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
agree.
but I still think I still think it was super satisfying. That was really, really good. Wish I would love to spend time with poor Rising Phoenix. I'd love to have an excuse to show up as Golden Peony after all of this drama and mess. So maybe Iron Lotus feels like he can't show up in person anymore for a while. So we'll see.
Nice. Tyler.
Huge stars on I loved all of our characters. I liked all of our mixing up amongst each other, the things that held us together. There was a lot of real sweetness between us. Seeing Iron Lotus and Song Da, my relationship with Iron Lotus, my relationship with Zanai as compared to Scholar, and seeing all of these things going between each other just made it really rich, even when we were in the midst of kind of mechanicized things. The feel of what we were as characters always was coming through, and that's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
I also think this is a great mashup. This is just a brilliant put together. I think it's very, very cool. Stars, really huge stars all around on this. Kind of false. I'm going to agree with Jamie. And I'm going to come at it saying the theorizing, I was clearly very strongly putting out things. Sherry had a very clear viewpoint. I felt like it meant Jamie and Patrick were kind of stuck in our wake. And I think that comes down, and not to say, Lowell, I think you did a great job. I just think that it needs some structure to dealing with how these clues roll out.
Mm-hmm.
Because once one person throws a theorize in, and everybody, ideally everybody's looking at the clues and trying to fit them in. Once we get one narrative in, then you're playing either break down that wall or build a new one. And there isn't as much as the organic, okay, let's see where this might be and where this might be. Maybe it should have a bit more of a like round robin or what do you think? Why is this clue important? Why is this clue important? And start piecing it together. I don't know if a full bodied like Sherry and I did might have been as kind to other people.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I need to watch some of the theorized from other people's Brindlewood Bays and Apocalypse Keys and things like that. I need to do that as some homework, and get that together, to see how other people handle it, for best practices.
Because I know Sherry and I, we love digging into these things. We like doing it, and it, we come up with a plan.
I agree. Breaking it down, if we can find a good structure to kind of break it down into pieces a little bit, and figure out about that. So yeah, need to think about it. And I wonder too if for the GM there aren't some better ways to structure clues by typologically. Here are some motive clues, here are some physical clues, things like that. That might, balancing those out might be a way to give a more even spread that different people can work with.
Now the other side of that is a huge star for Sherry, having all of these facts so well in your mind, where I was piecing parts together. You had kept such a much broader scope on everything that and I think it's valid to say, nope, you're right. That one doesn't work. I felt good saying that because I know you'd put the groundwork in.
Yeah, it's difficult to have a conversation when it starts out with, you know, well, I have an idea, and then I have an idea, but your idea isn't, like, it's not that. So, and it's like that kind of thing of going, could have said, well, it could have this happened, and if that happened, then what does that mean for your thing? So I guess like it's that kind of thing of like, how do we talk when we put something forward?
Right.
Mhm.
So it was like the negotiation felt like we didn't have a vocabulary for it, if that makes any sense.
Absolute sense.
When we played Brindlewood Bay, we did it like someone would go, well, how about this? And then we would do, okay, well, this fits with that, and this fits with that. And then someone said, but this kind of suggests this happened. And that would be how the conversation went. Does that make any sense? And we just couldn't kind of get to that. So I would like to.
Yeah, and that's certainly
practice
on
that
me,
structure.
not kind of having a sense of how to structure that around there. So that's a learning thing. I you know, when I ran Brindlewood, we tend to have strong voices in that one that kind of led through.
Right.
And I think it's a real challenge.
And it, you know, and that was the thing is even in like the Brindlewood that Jamie ran, we had to learn how to talk with each other through that stuff. So that was, Richard was like, let's do a writer's room. I'm going to throw something out there and then you make it or break it, but you know, you don't say no.
Right.
Yeah, and you know, it does suggest maybe going to the meta more quickly too. Taking a higher level approach before going to the player, the character invested in particular theories.
Yeah. In my experience, it helps to start out a character and then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
But anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Patrick.
I was just gonna say, I'll say I had a lot of theorized move is not my thing, and I've had a lot of like situations of just sitting here as someone else goes through it going, oh, okay. And so it has made me very like scared about the theorized move. So it's sort of a double stack of like, it doesn't hit my brain right. And then I've just had so many like, I don't know, it's never gone well for me. So I assume it won't go well for me.
That being said,
fine.
you pulled it all together there.
Well, that's the thing is that was the thing. You just had to pick a point up and go, and that was it. And when you did that, you were great. So it's just, you know, you don't need whole cloth. You just pick a piece.
Well, I'm definitely going to run this more. I want to run Apocalypse Keys so that I can get a trial doing that. And so this is fun. Thank you very much, everyone, for letting me do this. I'm going to stop the recording.